Welcome back to the San Diego Opera Video Podcast. I'm Nick Ravelis, and I'm delighted to have as my guest today Frederica Von Stade. Flicka, welcome.
Thank you, Nick.
It's so good
nice
to have
be
you here. My
Great
God,
to
after
be here.
all this time,
I know.
it's like I can't believe
making your debut at
that I
71.
Yeah, that it's never happened before. But I'm so delighted that it's with this piece. Which is so delightful.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to see it in Dallas, and it was great fun and touching at the same time.
Yeah.
What do you love about it? What are you enjoying the most?
Well, this is it's our story, basically. Any opera singer or probably performer can find themselves somewhere in this mix.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very honest, true representation of our life. The wonders of it and the difficulties, but mainly the wonders. You know, Jake he's a positive person, and there's
you can say that again.
There's a positive. Yeah. I think there's a positive take on all of it for everybody in it, and that comes, I think, from his deep affection for the art form, for the artists, for everything that's a part of this endeavor.
There are people that you meet along the way who are just filled with music, and they're absolutely joyful about it. And I think of him as being one of those people. Completely.
And he's also, Jake is also an incredible, I always say this, but it's true, he's a man of letters. He's incredibly beautifully educated formally, but he's also personally educated and never stops. And I think that shows up in a lot of his work. Look at the pieces that he's done.
Oh yeah,
you know, something
amazing.
Like Moby Dick.
Exactly.
But his musical ability and his talent is quite amazing. But it costs him a lot too.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know, yeah. It doesn't just flow out of anybody, and right. I admire so much the way that he thinks about it and the process, and the way he deals with all of us as artists is extraordinary. I've never met anyone like that.
That's so great, and am looking forward to seeing it again. I'm especially looking forward because I don't think I've ever seen a new opera that went to a premiere and then seen the second production where there have been cuts.
Right.
It'll be really interesting to experience that as an audience member.
Yeah, and it's interesting for us too. Jake asked me about it because I felt that he had added this sweet aria, and then he took it away because it did not make sense. And it stopped the production to a certain degree. Nobody knew if that was the end of the opera. And I said, Jake, this is your piece. It's your baby. I'm just proud and honored to be included. Anything you want to do is fine. And I agree with him. I think it's right. I think it's
so even though it was beautiful,
yeah,
it stopped the action.
It isn't about Winnie. We know who Winnie is. It's about Arden, and it stopped. It did.
Yeah.
And so it's okay by me. And actually as I've told him, I've taken it out many times because it's a patron thank you. And we all need patron thank yous, because without our patrons we are
well, and especially
zero.
A musical version
Right.
of a patron thank you.
So I told Jake, I said, Jake, I use it almost once a month for some of my galas. So
That's great.
It's great,
That's great.
And it did need, and that's something that operas don't have the chance to do that always.
Yeah.
Even with workshops and everything, it's not in the production, in the house, and it's
Things change.
Yeah, things change,
Yeah.
and it's not easy. It's not something like you just cut every other page or anything. For Jake, it's like taking a piece of his heart away.
Yeah, exactly. And it has to be done very deftly.
Deftly, yeah.
Carefully.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't, change too much of what surrounds it.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
I have a couple of sort of larger questions about opera, but you are involved in two of my favorite recordings to take you back a little while.
Yeah.
The Peleas with Herbert von Karajan
Yes.
conducting, and my favorite La Nozze di Figaro with Schulte
Oh,
conducting. Now, it sounds to me like the Figaro just, it jumps off of the CD. It seems like it was a very happy and fulfilling experience.
it was.
Was
Yes,
it?
It was. Also, we had the cast. We had performed together a lot,
Ah,
and that makes a huge difference.
of
So
course.
we were just felt like we were kind of, okay, today we'll just record it. It
Like
didn't have all
family.
that aura of
Yeah,
recording.
something special, but it was
yeah.
special in the sense that
And
you had
Schulte,
done
I
it
mean,
so many times.
Schulte just, what a man, what an amazing conductor, and the energy of 12 people, so that just that energy would sort of seep out to everybody else, and you just.
Was
Or
he
like-
was he fun to work with?
Yeah, because he was, completely devoted musically to
Mhm.
everything he was doing.
Mhm.
You just learned so much. You believed in him,
Yeah.
There's a lot of being an opera singer that is, for me anyway, being raised in Catholic schools, following orders.
Oh,
so,
you too.
yeah, so, you kind of, if you do what you're told, you at least got a good beginning to where
right.
you're going with everything. And I've always been aware of what a privilege it is to work with these kind of geniuses, and they are geniuses.
Well, and then on the other side was Herbert von Karajan. What was he like to work with?
He was amazing, for all the reputation that he had. He had a really sharp, angular voice. It was a very kind of
Yeah.
and a little bit scary. And some of the people around him were a little bit scary. He himself loved his singers, and he was very, very affectionate.
Really?
And very dear. And
that's fascinating.
I remember specifically in that recording, there's this scene in the grotto, the got, and he wanted this. Pelléas says something. He says these words. I can remember them. On a brisé le glace avec du fer rougi. We have broken the glass with hot iron. And the violins go way up into this, sound, and he kept going over it and over it and over it and re-recording it, and I could see the producers were going mad because he was going through one session and then half of another session, but the effect in the end was fantastic.
It's
So when you
gorgeous,
have
yeah.
someone like that, you have to trust them. They
Yeah.
know what they want. They know where they're going, and it's worth the ka-ching part of it.
On another subject, again, you've had a long and wonderful career. You've seen opera throughout the world, and especially here in the United States. How do you feel about the direction that opera is taking today, with the financial difficulties that we've had? But artistically, do you see American opera going in a positive direction?
I do, yes, and I think a lot of it is because of the new operas, and a public that is willing to go there, and I think through the efforts of the general managers who are head of these companies, I think of Opera Philadelphia as one for sure, HGO, through these efforts, the public is being led down these paths of new operas, and we have great young composers, and they're composing on themes that are very important to American history. Dead Man Walking is an incredible subject to take on.
And what a first opera!
For the first opera,
Yeah,
I know.
that's incredible.
Imagine Moby Dick. Imagine tackling Moby Dick.
800 pages.
800 pages, and
and distilling it all down to
Also, I think there's innovation in that it's not the same old theory of the great big opera house and big sets and everything. We have a company in San Francisco now, and they've put on operas in a swimming pool, and just it's innovative, and
Yeah.
people love it. Even I live in Alameda, the island of Alameda, just off of Oakland. We have a gal who sings in the San Francisco chorus.
Mhm.
She's a fabulous singer. She started a little company in Alameda, and you now can't get into it. In the Elks building, with 200 people at first.
I love
the
it.
orchestra over to the side.
Oh my
Lots of
gosh.
her colleagues from the chorus. She's done so many wonderful things, and people are loving it. And they bring their kids, and they sit on the floor, and it's going in that direction.
A number of companies like ours and Philadelphia
Mm-hmm.
are going smaller with separate series.
Right.
In different venues, but
Right.
smaller venues.
Right.
We're starting that this coming season by doing David T. Little's Soldier Song
Uh-huh.
and The Tragedy of Carmen in a smaller
Right.
theater that's
Yeah.
1,200 seats instead of the mammoth 3,000 that
Exactly.
we have in the Civic.
Yeah.
What I'm excited about is that when you experience opera in a smaller house like that, you get the visceral response that your body has
Right.
when you feel an operatic voice.
Exactly.
And it's very different from being in a really, really large hall that everybody built back in the 60s, where you can still hear okay and it's lovely, but and when everybody's playing and singing all at the same time, it creates a great spectacle.
Right.
But sometimes you miss that physical connection,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. No, I think it's marvelous, and I think the public really love it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's always been this way here because I'm new to San Diego, but you have a very devoted public, it seems to me. When I came to Butterfly the other night, it was, and it's a young public too. Lots of young people.
Yeah. Yeah,
in
I've
it.
been seeing that myself. that-
Yeah.
that the crowd is more diverse and
Right.
a lot more younger people than we had.
Exactly.
Before,
And
yeah.
that's something to acknowledge. I know how grateful you are for it, and exploit in the good ways too.
Mhm.
To what people want to hear, what
Exactly.
they want to see.
You're going to be doing a master class for us in a week or so with some young singers. And my last question for you is to the young singers who tune in to this podcast. If you had one piece of advice to give a young singer, let's say, who's graduating from college with a Bachelor of Music in vocal music, or vocal studies, in voice, what would that piece of advice be?
I think, shall I say it?
Sure.
I think I would say don't give up. Really, there's no even path. There's ups and downs. There's no way to establish where you are in the scheme of things. Don't waste your energy doing it. Just remember that singing is joyful. It comes from joy. People sing when they're feeling joyful, and that should always be a part of it. And be kind to yourself.
Mhm.
Always be kind to yourself. This voice, what it does for you is it's like magic. It's doing flips and all kinds of things. And have fun.
That's the best advice I've heard in a long time. Thank you so much
my
for
pleasure.
being
Thanks,
with
Nate.
us. And
Thank you for
I
having
hope we
me.
see you again.
Yes. Okay. I'm increasingly available.
There you go.